Namaste friends, welcome to the video in continuity with the twin pregnancy. In this video I will be talking mainly about TTTS, twin transfusion syndrome. This video is particularly made for postgraduate students and they may get case in their practical exam about this twin transfusion syndrome, and they should be aware about this being a postgraduate in the subject. So what is twin transfusion syndrome? First of all, what are the prerequisites that you should suspect in a woman that she may have or she may develop twin transfusion syndrome in her pregnancy? So if you observe on ultrasound that the fetuses, they are of same sex, number one. Number two, when you note that there is a very thin intertwin membrane, less than 2 millimeter thin intertwin membrane, which means that it is the monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy. So what are the features of monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy? Monochorionic means there is a one placenta or with the fusion, or there may be fusion, one placenta, and diamniotic, there are two amniotic cavities, both the twins, they are separated by thin intertwin membrane, which on ultrasound will appear less than 2 millimeter, and two amniotic sac carrying two fetuses and one placenta. So monochorionic diamniotic pregnancies, they have this TTTS risk in their duration of pregnancy. What next? In early pregnancy, early ultrasound, you have noted that there is no twin peak sign or absent lambda sign. So present lambda sign or present the twin peak sign means it is a dichorionic pregnancy. In case it is absent twin peak sign or absent lambda sign, which implies that this is a monochorionic pregnancy, and there is a T sign in spite of that twin peak sign that is observed in dichorionic pregnancy. You notice T sign. What does this T sign mean? That the membranes, they are reflected, not like this, they don't have this peak sign, but they are reflected at 90 degree. They make an appearance of T, although inverted T, they make an appearance of T. They are reflected at 90 degree from this placental fusion. And what next? What other thing you will be observing? If in early pregnancy you could count, there are only two membranes. So whenever you come across a monochorionic pregnancy, always keep in mind, being a postgraduate in the subject, being an expert in this subject, you are supposed to screen the woman for TTTS regularly. So if it is a monochorionic pregnancy, you are supposed for screening, should be as early, it should be detected as early as possible. What is the pathophysiology? What is the cause behind this TTTS? When there is one placenta, there is communication in the placenta. In the two, this is intertwin membrane, this is a placenta, this is one twin, this is another twin. So what happens here? There is a communication. Which kind of communication? One there is a arteriovenous anastomosis. The artery in this placenta of one twin is communicating with the vein of another twin. So what is happening? There is non-utilized blood of this twin is being shunted to the another twin. So this becomes, whose artery is involved, this twin becomes donor, and whose vein is involved, this twin becomes recipient. What happens? This twin becomes, all the blood it is lost to the other twin. It is taken over by the other twin. So this donor becomes dehydrated because all the volume is depleted towards the recipient. it becomes dehydrated. Because of this dehydration, what will happen? Oligohydramnios will happen and poor growth. So this will be a smaller twin. Donor twin is a smaller twin, and this recipient, what happens? This recipient, it is having its own blood as well as which is being taken over from the donor. So what happens? There is a hypervolemic stage in this. Because of this hypervolemia, what is happening? Because of this hypervolemia overload, there occurs fluid overload, and because of this excess fluid, excess urine production, and there occurs polyhydramnios. Okay, so this is the pathophysiology. So what is the etiology? What is the main causative factor? It is this communication which is occurring. If we can ablate this communication, it is the basis of the treatment of this twin transfusion syndrome. But this is not very easy. This is an invasive procedure. You just cannot apply it to all. When you come to know that there is a arteriovenous anastomosis, because this is an invasive procedure, fetoscope is required. So this invasive procedure is tried to be avoided. So if we find on repeated ultrasound this donor twin or this recipient twin, they are at risk. They are at risk of development. They are at risk that they may not reach till delivery or imminent death if you expect. Then you can go for invasive procedures to save at least one twin. So the treatment, the basis of treatment is you ablate this communication, but this is not very easy thing and it is an invasive procedure. So what are you supposed to do? Being a expert in this subject, you are supposed to diagnose this condition early, and what you will be doing? You will be doing serial monitoring, and if you find that yes, it is increasing in severity, then you can go for the treatment modalities. Now how to assess the severity? For that, Quintero, for assessing the severity in 1999, Quintero defined the staging of this TTTS syndrome. So we should thank the person Quintero et al. In 1999. They 1999 they proposed this staging of this, how to stage this TTTS and assess the severity. Now what are the stages? There are how many stages? There are 5 stages. So what are the stages? There are 5 stages. 5 stages. Number 1, what happens? There is polyhydramnios. Polyhydramnios, that is when will we say polyhydramnios? The maximum vertical pocket of more than 8 centimeter. So it's that more than 8 centimeter vertical pocket is present, then it is called polyhydramnios. It is present in one twin, and oligo in another twin, that is less than 2 centimeter vertical pocket. Maximum pocket is less than 2 centimeter, and in here the it is more than 8 centimeter. So these are the criteria to label poly and oligo. So in this stage 1, what is happening? There is polyhydramnios in one twin and oligo in another twin, but the urine bladder is filled in this twin which is having oligo. So bladder is seen. So urine is seen in this oligo. If you can see the urine, that means this is a stage 1. Now what next? Stage 2. It's the same, but urine is not visible in the donor twin, which is having oligohydramnios, and moreover oligohydramnios is severe. The donor twin seems to be stuck in between the uterine wall and the amniotic sac and fetus of this polyhydramnios sac. So that is stage 2. Now what is stage 3? When on cardiac assessment there is cardiac involvement. Stage 1 is further divided into 1, 2 and 3. You should be doing Doppler, umbilical Doppler study, then ductus venosus and middle cerebral artery. You will be going for their study in such cases. So if there is cardiac involvement, irrespective whether bladder is full or not, if there is cardiac involvement, either there is valvular regurgitation or there is hampered and this is reversed and diastolic filling, or such things are present, if venous Doppler finding are abnormal, irrespective of whether the urine is present or not, they are said to be stage 3. And further this is classified into stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. Third part is stage 3 is further divided into 1, 2 and 3. Now what is stage 4? When you can observe ascites or hydrops, that means collection of fluid in more than two or more than 2 cavities, that is pleural, if pleural fluid is present, then ascites is present, then it is called stage 4. Even if the Doppler studies are not affected, then we say it is stage 4. And what is stage 5? Demise of either one of the twin is labeled stage 5. So these are the staging, Quintero staging of TTTS. There are 5 stages. You should remember them. If you don't remember them, make a chart of them and just put in your antenatal wards, so that you can come across or you can read them very often, and you will be able to apply them wherever you get such cases. Now what next? You have staged and you have diagnosed this condition. So pathophysiology I have already told you. Clinical approach. So what are the clinical approach? In this, once TTT is diagnosed and the stage is determined, then the treatment is to be made. What treatment you are going to apply in this case? So there are few treatment modalities. Number 1 is there is a oligo and there is a poly in one sac, which is divided by a very thin layer. So what you can do, this septum is present, you do a septostomy. You make a hole in it, and what happens, this polyfluid is provided again to the oligohydramnios sac, and the fluid imbalance that has been occurred, it is taken care of. But what are the, it sounds very good approach. Number 1 is fetoscope is required. Okay, so it is an invasive procedure. What next? It sounds very nice treatment modality, but what are the drawbacks? Sometimes the hole that we created in between the two, this septum, what happens, it gets expanded. And we are converting this monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy to a monochorionic monoamniotic pregnancy, and its hazards. We all know that monochorionic pregnancies, they have their own risks, even cord entanglement and demise of the fetus. So what are the, although it sounds very beautiful that oh yes, we have made an opening, the fluid is circulated and the pathophysiology is taken care of, and both the fetuses will grow, but what are the drawbacks? If this thin membrane, it gets torn and it becomes a monoamniotic, it is converted to a monoamniotic pregnancy. So nowadays laser ablation is being used. We do septostomy with the use of laser. Very small hole we create and we try to cautery its margin so that they are not enlarged. So we can go for, but it is an invasive procedure. What next? Repeated amniocentesis. From this polyhydramnios twin, we are taking out the fluid. It is of more advantageous for mother because the abdominal distension is relieved. This fluid is taken from polyhydramnios baby, and it relieves the distress of this abdominal distension to the mother. Pregnancy can be continued. And what happens? This baby is not taken care of. Only that the part is that it gets the space. It is not stuck now because this tension is released because of the fluid which is taken. What is more important, if you have to do this repeatedly, this amniocentesis, if you require to do it repeatedly, then it is better to go for an invasive procedure because they have got a better outcome for fetuses. If you have to do this repeatedly, it's better to go for invasive procedure. If suppose near term at 30-32 weeks she is coming, she is being diagnosed and she comes at this stage, then you can go for this amniocentesis. But if it is coming at an earlier gestation, it is better to go for invasive procedure because it's unlikely that a single amniocentesis will give much benefit to the developing fetus and mother also. This repeated also outcome is not very good. So what next? What is the pathophysiology? There is a arteriovenous anastomosis. So by laser, by fetoscope laser, we can go for this ablation. The communication, we can go for laser ablation. This is the definitive treatment. It will take care of both the fetuses, but as it is invasive, you just cannot go for them at 32-33 weeks gestation. If she is coming at an earlier pregnancy, earlier gestational age, you should go for this laser ablation. But if it is later part, you can go for amniocentesis. Now what was the Eurofetal trial? There is a Eurofetus trial which is the only prospective randomized trial to compare the efficacy of this repeated amniocentesis and laser ablation. It was found that at around 28 days and 3 months, the outcome of fetuses who underwent this AV malformation, the neurological deficits were less as compared to the amniocentesis group. So what is more important? That the duration of gestation. Earlier this TTTS develops, poorer is the outcome. And what is the last resort? It is fetoscopic umbilical cord cauterization. What we do when a woman comes to us at a stage when there is an imminent death expected of one fetus. So what we are supposed to do? Save at least one fetus inside. And if we have already read that one fetus dies in utero, and if there is a monochorionic pregnancy, so it causes risk to the life of the other developing fetus also. For that, what we do, we cauterize the umbilical cord of the one fetus who is expected to die or imminent condition present. So what we are doing, we are saving the another fetus at least, so that the thromboplastin which is liberated, it does not cross through the anastomosis and causes this death of another fetus. So we can go for at least saving one fetus inside. So this is TTTS, when to expect a woman to develop TTTS. If you see a monochorionic diamniotic pregnancy, you need to do repeated 2 weekly ultrasound to assess the growth. You need to find the discordant growth at an earlier. So what is discordant growth? 25% difference in the expected birth weight of the fetuses. When you find that the discrepancy is increasing by every ultrasound you are doing, so you should expect that the TTTS is developing. And if you find a arteriovenous malformation in the placenta, then you are more likely that this is happening. And earlier gestation this develops, what happens? Poorer is the outcome. And this Fetoscopic laser ablation of this anastomosis is the definitive treatment, but it is invasive. If she comes at a later duration of gestation, go for this thing, amniocentesis, give relief to the mother and also to one fetus, and give space to the another donor twin also. So this is all about TTTS. You will get in your exam. Then you will be asked about these stages in detail. Learn them, make them in a chart, and go for repeated knowing them so that you don't miss in exam. So this is very important. TTTS in twin, it is a high risk pregnancy, and you are supposed to know each and every detail of it. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel and share the video, and any queries do ask in the comment box and I will be happy to reply. Thank you.